Hello AOS fans!
It's the Agents of Sigmar.
And in this video we're going to give you... What are we going to give them, Pete?
We're going to give you the tier list from the Rivals decks released for Warhammer Underworlds.
As you may know, Pete and I don't very often do tier lists.
No.
Find them a bit subjective.
Yeah.
But the internet loves them. You guys love them.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd throw out our thoughts on a tier list. And it is just our thoughts. And it should be said that every one of these decks could probably be put in a different place depending on who you put it with, which warband you put it with.
Yeah, I think we are trying to, as most tier lists are, they're based on the general view of each one and all of its merits and all of its negatives taken together. So number 14 on our list, right at the bottom,
is the Toxic Terrors.
Yeah, we put it down there because we figured a lot of its independencies mean you have to take so many of the cards, you rarely get a chance to use your warbands cards and really bring them to bear.
And to be honest, the poisons just aren't as exciting as you think they might be anyway. So number 13
is the Beastbound Assault.
Now this does have the odd warband like the Exiled Dead that it's very good with, but essentially you've got to have a lot of minions or beasts for it to work, and it's really quite hard to make it work with most warbands, and it just, every time I've tried it, it's just been a bit of a damn squib. It isn't even that fun to play.
So number 12
is the Daring Delvers.
It's got a plot card that generally just isn't really worth trying to get. It's a lot of work for not a massive payoff in the end.
So number 11
is the Seismic Shock.
There was quite a lot of excitement when this arrived. Firstly, it didn't have a plot card, and most things did have a plot card, and also it was fully magic. It was like basically perfect to give to any magic warband, but it isn't that strong. It was replaced by Force of Frost fairly quickly, and now you don't really see it very often. You
need a lot of casters in your warband to really guarantee you're going to get a lot of that going off, and there aren't many of those.
No.
And at number 10
we have the Rhymeworm's Bite.
It's got a lot of cards in there for ping damage, which can lead to quite a negative play experience and can be strong with a few warbands. But in general, with a lot of warbands, it leads you towards suboptimal play of spreading out those wounds. Now, as we all know, you want to drill down one fighter at a time.
Yeah, I have a feeling over time this may go up the list as we get to be more au fait with it and work out exactly how it works. We haven't played with it very much, and I think we may have put this one a little bit low. So number 9
is the Malevolent Masks.
Now this is fairly strong, but it's been replaced, I think, by the Rhyme-Knot Relics. It does very similar things to the Rhyme-Knot Relics, but I think its biggest disappointment is you've got these lovely masks, which is a really cool idea, but then they're almost entirely superfluous to how the deck actually plays, and you end up just picking stuff to score its objectives. So it feels like a theme that doesn't quite work.
Number 8.
So number 8 is the Force of Frost.
It was once King of the Hill. It was one of the best decks around. It's got all that magic zappiness, but it's kind of been nerfed a little bit into mediocrity. So it's not bad, but it's not as good as it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, it was so prevalent that it had to be nerfed, but now it just isn't anywhere near as strong, fun enough. So number 7
is the Fearsome Fortress.
Now this deck, I think, is a really solid middle tier Rivals deck. It's fairly easy to play. It's a really good introduction to control style play. The only problem is it can telegraph your strategy a little bit. But that said, if you get everything working really nicely, it can be really quite hard to counter while you do your thing.
And at number 6
is Tooth and Claw.
It's straightforward and simple to play. It does exactly what it says on the tin, but it is going to be rotating out soon.
Yeah, it's a brilliant entry-level Rivals deck, but like Pete says, be gone soon. So number 5
is the Paths of Prophecy.
Now you're our resident Paths of Prophecy expert, so I'm going to hand this over to you.
Yeah, if you want to stand on objectives and you want to push people onto objectives and you want to get glory for scoring for standing on objectives, this is the deck for you. And at number 4
is the Void Curse Thralls.
It's a great little utility deck that brings back lots of old warbands because of the little buff that it gives to everybody, and it's got some nice little tricks and surprises in there too.
It seems to be universally very strong. So number 3
is the Rime-Locked Relics.
This has to go high as it came top out of 90 at a recent Warhammer World tournament, and we've even had that deck in the studio, and it is just a really good way of scoring objectives. I think it's better than Paths of Prophecy. It doesn't quite have quite a high glory ceiling, but they're much easier to score. And I've been enjoying it with the Grimwatch. It flexes really nicely as well. It's got some really strong upgrades to go with it. It's quite nice. Objective suite.
And at number 2
is the Hungering Parasite.
Using it to buff up your boss or your heavy hitter, or dumping it on one of your opponent's fighters to really screw up their game plan are both very good ways to use this deck. It's also got a lot of utility in there as well, and it also helps out some of the older warbands again.
Yeah, this is another one we haven't tried a huge amount, but it feels like it's really strong. I've seen it present across lots of tournaments, and I think in the hands of particularly good players, it's going to be really hard to counter. So at the top, you've probably worked out already.
What is it? It's the Breakneck Slaughter!
So this deck is straightforward, easy to play, even more than Tooth and Claw. It does exactly what it says on the tin. You get rewards for doing what you want to do anyway, if you're playing with an aggro warband, and it just is a really strong, easy to score deck. It's so prevalent in everything. Try it with the Arena, it's absolutely horrendous.
Yes, another deck that we had in the studio not that long ago, and you can easily counter the downsides as well by just avoiding the cards which incorporate that.
So that is our tier list. Entirely subjective and not that expert, but I think hopefully fairly accurate. But what do you think? Do you think we've got it horribly wrong? Do you have a good case why the Rhymer's Bite should be higher up the list?
Or do you think the Breakneck Slaughter should be at the bottom because it's just so rubbish? Let us know in the comments below. We always try to respond to everything, and don't forget to like, subscribe and ring that bell.
And if you want to, consider supporting us on Patreon. You get access to extra battle reports and access to our Discord where we chat about Underworld pretty much all day long.
So we'll see you soon, baby in the Underworld.